Here is example number 2. One thing I didn't mention in the last video is there's 3 problems on your assignment, and I'm going over 3 example videos. So hopefully that'll give you kind of a hint that these examples are very closely mirrored to the problems on your assignment. Okay, once again from the last video, I gave you a list of tips in case you have no idea what to do or where to begin when you get to your assignment. If you don't know what to do, start with these 4 tips. Okay, and I'm going to use these tips as I'm working through this example problem. Okay, Noah is having his 2 friends help him with a number trick. He tells Andy a number, and he tells him to add 5 to that number, and then multiply the result by 3. Okay, that seemed important, so I underlined it. Then he tells Katie the same number. This time, though, he tells her to only subtract 5 from that number. Okay, Andy and Katie both end up with the same result. What number did Noah tell them to begin with? Okay, so let's back up. This is kind of a confusing problem, so let's back up. Noah tells Andy a number, and then he tells Katie the same number. But they don't ever tell me what that number is, right? So this a number, I have no idea what that number is. So that's the part of this problem that I don't know. And so any part of the problem that I don't know, I'm going to assign a variable to it. Okay, so let's call this x, and we'll say x is the number that Noah tells them. Okay, now let's see what Andy does with that number, and then we'll see what Katie does with that number. Okay, Andy, he adds 5 to the number. So he takes the number x, remember we don't know what it is, so we call it x, and he adds 5 to that number. Okay, so he's adding 5 to that number, and then multiply the result by 3. So whatever x plus 5 is, we need to multiply that number by 3. Okay, so that's where these parentheses come in handy. We take whatever we get when we add x and 5, and we multiply that result by 3. Okay, so this is what Andy does with that number that Noah tells him. Now what does Katie do? He tells Katie the same number, so x. This time though, he tells her to only subtract 5 from that number. So Katie takes the number that Noah tells her and subtracts 5. Okay, and then it says Andy and Katie both end up with the same result. So same result, that tells me that we're looking at an equal sign here. So 3 times the quantity x plus 5 was equal to x minus 5. So look, here's my equation already. Okay. And the question says, what number did Noah tell them to begin with? So we want to know what this x value is. So we have our equation. We need to solve it to know what x is. Okay, the first thing I see when I'm solving is I see these parentheses. They've got to go. So I use the distribution property to get rid of them and to simplify. So 3 gets multiplied by everything inside the parentheses. So 3 times x, 3x, 3 times a positive 5 is positive 15. Okay, then I still have x minus 5 on this side. Very good, very good. Now I need to combine all of my x's on one side and all of my plain numbers or my constants on the other side. And it's looking like there's more x's over here. So let's move all of our x's on this side of the equal sign and all of our constants or our numbers to this side. So that means this x is out of place. So it needs to go away. And so we do that by combining it with its 0 pair, which is a negative x. Now remember, whatever I do on one side, I have to do on both sides to keep things balanced. 3x minus x, There's not a number there. It's assumed that it's a 1. So 3x minus an x is 2x plus 15. And then equals x minus x is 0, so that cancels out. And then we still have a negative 5. Okay, now I'm looking at this positive 15. This positive 15 is on the wrong side. It needs to be over here. And so it needs to disappear from this side. So I combine a positive 15 with its 0 pair, which is a negative 15, and do it to both sides to keep things balanced. I have 2x and a positive 15 and negative 15 combined to be 0. So this is equal to negative 5 minus 15. Check this with a calculator if you need to. That is negative 20. Then I have 2x equals negative 20, so I'm going to divide these x's into 2 groups. Do that on both sides to keep it balanced. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm left with 1x equals negative 20 divided by 2. That is negative 10. Check it with a calculator to make sure you get your signs right. So x is equal to negative 10. That means that the number that Noah tells them to start with is negative 10.